Hello there, welcome to the Tunnel Podcast on a really, really early build-up pod. It is finally here. It's the final of Euro 2020, the showpiece game, and we're all buzzing for it. Delighted to say I'm joined by two men who've been here the whole journey from start to finish. It's Tom Goff and Connor Chalmers. Tom, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks, buddy. Obviously, understandably, a bit nervous, but feeling good. Looking forward to later.
Oh, we'll get into those nerves momentarily. Connor, you must be a bit more relaxed, or are you just praying that your prediction comes through and we can all sort of put you on our shoulders and carry you out singing and cheering?
Listen, I'm definitely praying that my prediction comes true. Absolutely. I'd be wanting that regardless of who they were playing, but I think it sweetens the pot for me a wee bit more that it is England. But no, I mean, listen, looking forward to the game itself tonight and see how it goes. It was a nervy old affair 3 years ago when it was the Italians that they played. So, listen, we'll see what happens. I still remain solid in my convictions that I think Spain will have just a little bit too much.
Well, listen, time will tell on that one, surely. I think half the nation over the border are all getting their Spain flags out, and I've seen a few, pubs and stuff all decked up in red and amber. So we shall see what happens come sort of 10 o'clock tonight. Tom, I'll come at you first then, because obviously, selection is something we spoke about, and I don't see Gareth Southgate making wholesale changes, but we spoke on the last pod about Kieran Trippier and Luke Shaw, and you were sort of saying get Shaw in and maybe balance that left side up. However, I was listening to Jamie Carragher this morning talking, and he sort of made a point that Yamin Lamal likes to cut inside onto that left foot. Would it be better to have a right footer on there? And also, then you've got Shaw coming in sort of late in the game because we don't think he can last a full 90 minutes.
Yeah, I think he's spot on, to be honest. I think I don't think Shaw's going to be ready to go from the start and play the full 90 minutes. So yeah, I'm anticipating for him to go with Kieran Trippier once again. And yeah, I think Carragher makes a good point, to be honest with you. And I think I said this in the last pod, when we were discussing whether you go with Shaw, who, would, like you said, balance it out a bit more, but offer more in attack than Trippier likely would. Offer more than Trippier likely would, or just stick with Trippier, who I personally feel is better defensively than Shaw, to try and nullify, the attacking threat the Spaniards had. So, I think he's right as well. I think Trippier's going to start, and then I think that would probably benefit England more in that. I think Spain are going to be the first team we come up against, I think, that are really going to just throw everything at us in attack, you know what I mean? So I think to have your best defenders on the pitch, I think makes sense. And yeah, I'm just hoping that Trippier, goes in with a nice firm, fair tackle. Should we say fair tackle? But a nice firm, fair tackle, early on Yamal, just to let him know that he's there and that he's going to be in for a tough game. So I think Carragher's spot on with that analysis, to be fair.
Is it the case in point, Connor, that if you do start Luke Shaw and you get to the hour mark and you're still not ahead in the game and you have to pull him off, it's not the swap you want to see really? Is Trippier coming on when you're going to have to go and maybe try and get a goal?
Yeah, I think so. But I think regardless, it's one of those ones that. Yeah, but Trippier, I think, has done okay. Given that he's not naturally a left back, I think he's held the position fairly well. I get that. Maybe he's had a little bit of criticism, I suppose, for one or two wee errors in there. But I think realistically, you'd probably rather it if you're Southgate the other way about. That if you start, starting Trippier and then bringing Shaw in, just because, as you say, doing it the reverse does seem, not if you're wanting a goal, make it more balanced, I think. So, no, I would say Trippier starts, Shaw probably comes on after maybe an hour, 70 minutes, depending how the game's going, of course, because that'll dictate things as well. We all know that England won't make a change until they go behind. So, we'll wait and see what happens with that. But no, I think it'll be an interesting battle. Listen, it's going to be hard graft. The one thing I will say is this will be the biggest test, particularly of that England back line that they've come up against yet. I mean, the Netherlands, very solid team, and certainly Weghorst caused a few problems. But it's the sheer pace of the Spanish up front and the quality of players like Yamal who will cause the big problems. And it'll be interesting to see. And listen, to be fair, where Trippier's concerned, he had a tough time it towards the end of the season as well at Newcastle. He's had an injury and then a couple of mistakes he'd made as well in matches, key mistakes. I mean, he made the mistake that ultimately led to his getting knocked out of the Carabao Cup against Chelsea. So he did have a tough time there. Although I think he has picked up a bit in this tournament. So it's certainly be interesting to see how they set up with it. I said, the other night, for me, you've got to go out there and just go for it. They can't they can't do what they did the last time and try and sit back and absorb all the pressure and be too defensive. And I get they scored after 2 minutes and that might have led to that, but they can't afford to do that against a team as good as Spain.
Tom, you were quite vocal actually. I don't know if it was the Mello talking or it was just the hype, but you said England are going to be underdogs in this one and that might suit them. When actual fact, when you go through the Spain squad, if you try and play a devil's advocate a little bit, they've got a centre half that plays in the Saudi Pro League. They've got a 17-year-old in attack. Jesus Navas, 38, could start the game. And Alvaro Morata, who's not really hit the headlines, headlines should I say, anywhere that he's played, and been quite vocal and saying that he wants to leave Spain as well. So, are England, are the underdogs genuine underdogs in this one?
No, I think you make a good point. I think on paper they're not underdogs. I think you look at the starting 11 that England are likely going to, go with later on tonight. In comparison to the Spain team, like you just pointed out some of the players where they are in their careers, where they're playing. I just think, based on form through the tournament, they're the underdogs. Spain have just had, they've had a near perfect tournament, haven't they, up until now? I think I saw a stat, I was reading some bits and bobs earlier, that they're the first team to get to this stage and win the 6 matches to get there. Obviously no extra time or penalties or anything like that needed. And, you look at the teams they've beaten as well. They've beaten some top teams, haven't they? Some, really competent countries on their way there. You look at their running in comparison to our running. There's a big difference, isn't it? They've beaten Italy, they've beaten Croatia, they've beaten Germany. The Georgians, who are probably the surprise package, they beat them as well. So they've done incredibly well to get to the final. And I wouldn't say comfortably, but they've just, I wouldn't say anyone's, really, other than maybe the Germans have got close to them. Yeah, Colin said France. I was trying to think then who the last one was. They've done it quite comfortably, I feel. So, you're right. I think in terms of personnel, England are probably still the favourites on paper. But I think in terms of how Spain have played, the teams they've beat, just, how they're set up and how they're coached, I do firmly believe that they will be most neutrals' favourites going into this. England have kind of, I don't want to say fudge their way to the final, but there probably is a bit of truth to that, isn't there? It's not been easy. Our last performance against the Dutch was our best performance by some distance. But even in that performance, we kind of tailed off in the second half. It was only really 45, first 45 where we looked like, a top team. So, no, but this is the thing. This is what's kind of been the kind of backwards and forwards amongst the England fans, the guys who are kind of defending Southgate and the guys who have been critical of Southgate, is that you just look at those players, and you guys know my stance as well. I'm a firm believer that he should be getting more out of those players he has available to him, because they're some of the best players in the world. It's as simple as that. So, yeah, but I'm nervous. I think the Spanish are the favourites going into the game later on tonight. I think they'll be fancying their chances based on everything that's played out in the tournament so far.
kind of, is there actual similarities in both semi-finals then between Spain and England, and says that they both played really well first 45 and tailed off in the second half of the games, maybe because they'd put so much in and then they were protecting so much, what was at stake as well?
Yeah, there's definitely similarities. Both went behind early doors in those games. It was in the first 10 minutes, of course. Both turned it around to get the win, and there was a tail off in the second half for sure. I think with Spain, France certainly had a number of decent opportunities. That last 20 minutes in particular, they were under the cosh a little bit, Spain. But much like England were able to, they weathered that storm and they managed to get through. I think that the thing that Spain will probably be a bit weary of with England is the fact that in this tournament, one thing they have done, England, is they've it's been the late show. And a number of the games, they find goals late on. I mean, there's, Ollie Watkins scores a winner for them just at the start in stoppage time in the 90th minute. You had Bellingham rescue them because, it's easy to forget now, given they're in the final, but they were 30 seconds away figuring out against Slovakia. And Bellingham rocked up with a piece of brilliance to rescue them. Against Saka, similar against Switzerland. They are, masters of scoring late goals in this competition. The one challenge, I suppose, that they will have is they've gone behind in every one of those games. They've not led in any of those games for a sustained period of time. Obviously, you score a goal in the last minute, you're leading for a few seconds. Extra time was the one against Slovakia. So that's probably one concern, because the thing about Spain, that as opposed to a Netherlands or a Switzerland or a Slovakia, Spain are capable of going, a couple of goals up, not just the one goal up. Spain don't just score one goal and rest on the laurels. They'll keep plugging away at it. And, it's one thing coming back for a goal down. I would fear that if Spain do manage to get 2 goals tonight, I think that probably will be enough for them, just because unless England obviously turn up and play even better than they did against the Dutch, which I think we're all in agreement they'll have to if they're going to beat Spain tonight. You don't see England scoring 3 goals in a game right now. That I could be proven wrong tonight, of course, but I would suspect that's probably what those kind of margins it'll be dealt with on. But listen, that being said, England have responded well to going behind in the games they've played. The Slovakia one was probably the biggest struggle, because up until Bellingham scored, you didn't really feel like they were going to score for all the possession they had. But since then they've responded, and that's a very good trait to have, to be fair. You keep going until that final whistle, and there's always that chance. And listen, the quality of players England have got, they're capable, absolutely more than capable. And as I said when we come off air as well, I don't know how much stock they'll put in it, but there's surely got to be something in the back of their minds, knowing that they can not only win a tournament, but win it on German soil, of all places. That must be a sweetener for those players.
And for Gareth Southgate, given what happened in '96. Something's got to give, because England are on a 58-year wait. We know fine well when they last won it. Spanish teams unbeaten in the last 26 international and European finals. I was hearing this morning, which is a crazy stat, goes all the way back to 2002, Real Madrid at Hampden Park. I think Southgate faced Navas in 2006 with Middlesbrough in Sevilla. So but there's loads that sort of comes into this, but ultimately once the whistle blows, sure, that just goes out of their mind and they just try and sort of make their own personal history.
Yeah, you say that. I think it's easier said than done with England, though. I do think a big part of the problem with England over the years, since I've been a kid watching football, first tournament I can remember was watching, 96, and you just touched on, losing that semi-final, Southgate missing the penalty against the Germans. And I do feel a big part of, England's kind of failures and falling short over the years. There is a kind of mentality thing now. I do genuinely believe it. I don't know, subconsciously playing on players' minds and coaches. I think it's kind of in the press and how things are, how England are reviewed and how the press, kind of portrays them and all this. And yeah, I just hope you're right. They've got to. I'm just hoping and praying that the players are able to push that out tonight against Spain. Just kind of forget about all that noise, all the past failures, like I said, how the close has-beens and all that, and just push it all out and just focus on tonight's game, because that's what they need to do. It's I do get a little bit concerned because obviously the build-up and everything, like you said, hearing these kind of stats and stuff, it's a lot of noise and it's a lot of kind of negative noise when it comes to England. They're hoping that they kind of use that. They've got to try and use that, haven't they? Southgate and his coaching team, they've got to just try and say that these players, they've got such a massive opportunity now. Like the guys who lost in the final to Italy, they've got a massive opportunity now to win a trophy. We haven't won a trophy since '66. It's a hell of a long time, isn't it? For a country of England, and their status in international football to go without winning something. So I'm hoping they just, he can get them fired up and use that to our advantage and say, you guys, they've got the opportunity here to, become legends almost. That's what it will be. That's what will happen to them if they can get the win and they can bring that trophy home. First European championship. So I'm trying to keep away from all that stuff, mate. All those kind of stats. That Spanish stat's insane. So that's like club. That's like club teams as well. Oh, that's crazy. That just shows you, doesn't it? That's just again, and just who we're up against now, and kind of reinforces the point I was making earlier about still thinking the Spanish are the favourites going into this. They've got that winner's mindset, haven't they? Winning mentality, not just the international team, but like you've just pointed out, all their league teams as well, all the competitions they play in, they're just winners, aren't they? And they have been for a long time now. So, and they'll be confident. Their fans are confident. Their nation's confident. So, it's going to be a massive test. Huge.
Connor, for all the talk of England, it's the remiss of us to leave out, Luis de la Fuente, who Thomas talked about earlier on. Sorry, calling your Sunday name. It is Sunday after all. Talked about earlier on.
I'm only called Thomas when I'm in trouble, mate. So I
don't know what to go with me then. As Tom talked on earlier, that the six on the bounce here, they could be the only team to ever do that. I think they're on to their fourth European Championship, which would also make them history makers as well. De La Fuente sort of said, it's the small details that are going to be key in tonight's game, and he says that the team that sort of make the less mistakes will come out victorious, just describing it as a very complicated, difficult match with equal teams. Is that something you'd go along with?
Yeah, I think so. I think they are fairly even teams in terms of you look at the players in each squad. I think England have probably got the slightly better players in terms of the forward areas with your Kanes and your Bellinghams and guys like that who are at top levels. But in this tournament, that's not been quite the case. And I think Spain, you've got Dani Olmo there who's been outstanding and much like Harry Kane can still clinch that golden boot. Yamal, who we've raved about, is just like absolutely superb for them as well. So there's definitely it will come down to the team who makes the least sort of mistakes. And I think the challenge is, I said before the Netherlands game that, when I was talking about, admittedly a different player, I was talking about Gay, and obviously the fact he did a slip up in one of the games, I think it was against Switzerland or Slovakia, whatever it was, and didn't get punished for it. But if that happened against a team like that, you would. Sure enough, Declan Rice slips up and he gets punished when Javi Simmons rattles one into the top bin. It'll be a similar case tonight. Spain will punish mistakes like that, and I would expect England to do the same should Spain leave those mistakes. So it is. I think it will be a nervy affair because you look at it as Tom said, that England haven't won anything since 1966. The only thing they've ever won, Spain, conversely, the same. Spain haven't won anything in 12 years either. That's been a bit of a wait for them to, after that period of dominance they had, where basically they had that 2008 to 2012 run where they were just unstoppable. And that's dwindled off since then. So there'll be pressure on them as well to get a trophy back in the cabinet after such a long time and reassert themselves as a dominant force. Because, like I say, I think they kind of flew under the radar a little bit coming into this tournament. When people were talking about who was winning it, there wasn't many people talking about Spain. They were talking about Germany, or they were talking about France, or England as your favourites. I think even the bookies had them up there as your three favourites, understandably so. But I think Spain have absolutely clearly been the best team at the tournament so far, and I would have them just as slight favourites over England, because I don't know. I mean, again, I don't know how much stock you put in it because it's a different game. But when you come through the tough games that Spain have came through, and they've had to deal with a lot of things being flung at them, they had to deal with Germany in their own backyard, hitting back an equaliser to take it to extra time, and all the momentum was seemingly with the Germans, and they found a way to win that. They've had to deal with a French team who, whilst they haven't been easy in the eye in this tournament, had been very difficult to score against. I think they only conceded one goal going into that game, and they found a way to get through them twice. So, they've had that adversity in their way, and they've managed to come through it with aplomb. So I think, I think that might just put Spain in a slightly more assured footing because of those harder fixtures.
I think you're right in what you say. The Spanish coming into this maybe not as favourites, because two names that I'll take away are certainly Dani Olmo and Fabian Ruiz. They weren't on my radar until this tournament, and they're certainly guys that have caught the eye. Tom, let's go on to England and come back to Gareth Southgate. Every candidacy that was pushed on whether fairy tales were going to become reality tonight, and whether there was going to be this big sort of hurrah, given the fate with the late goals and the penalties and such. And he just sort of said, he didn't believe in fairy tales, but he believed in dreams, and they were pushing dreams, in the dressing room and all the chatter, behind the scenes. Is that something, again, that you buy into? Is that just something they put out into the press? Because, Gareth, he's taken a lot of stick, you have to say, through the tournament. We've given him bits, and rightly so at times, because there's been question marks, but he's got them over the line, or to this point, should I say. Can he get them over the line?
Well, yeah, it's possible, isn't it? It's definitely possible. Like we've been touching on, we've got the players capable of beating Spain. I think we've got the better team on paper. Again, I just touch on kind of mentality and mindset going into this game, and I think, what I'm hoping is, we've touched on how good Spain have been all the way through it. I'm hoping that there's maybe a little bit of complacency there from them, in terms of reaching this point, who they've beaten, how comfortably they've beaten a couple of those teams. Whereas with ourselves, like you said, it's been a grind, hasn't it? And there's just been a few of these moments, like you touched at, most notably that Bellingham overhead kick with seconds to go, and then obviously in the last game against Holland, Watkins to score. I think there was a second left before it was going to head into injury time. So we've had a few of these moments where you just feel almost there's a little bit of fate there, don't you? A little bit of lady luck. We had the penalty decision as well in the last game, and a few decisions have gone our way through the course of the tournament. So I'm hoping South, he loves it. He loves dropping these little kind of, I don't know, they're almost like kind of something he's took out of a little like Buddha handbook, little quote of the day kind of vibes, aren't they, Southgate? What was that he said then? So he don't believe in fate. He
doesn't believe in fairy tales, but he's a big believer in dreams. I think he got that Kevin Costner 1980s movie, the baseball one. I think that's in the baseball one.
Field of Dreams. Yeah,
maybe in that somewhere.
That's what I mean. I know Southgate. He's rocking this little book in his back pocket, man. He's got these little most influential movie quotes. He's just like, I'm going to drop one of these, in the build up today. I'm going to drop a few of these. So
look, Tom, just sticking with you actually, because I thought something interesting I saw this morning. England are in a city centre hotel, okay? They're not going to be leaving that hotel until 6 p.m. UK time, where they'll be picked up and obviously taken to the stadium. I think they're going to be doing what they call an activation session in one of these conference rooms within the hotel. How hard is that in terms of mindset? You spoke about mindset and how key that could be. How hard is that, is to try and sort of keep yourself sort of on the edge, but not go either way with the final just sort of on the rise? You're going to be in the same sort of setting the whole day. It can't be easy. That we know ourselves. When you go on holiday, you just want to get outside and get on it. Not saying these lads are on holiday, but similar sort of.
Look, I don't. It is it. Look, I'm a massive when it comes to football. Mindset and mentality. I'm a massive believer in it. That that's what takes the top players, to the very top, and win everything there is to win. And look, you look at the England team. We've got guys in there. Most notably the Man City guys. Have won countless Premier Leagues now and won the Champions League, and obviously Bellingham winning the Champions League. The guys have played at the highest stage and have won things. So I'm hoping that that those guys especially are gonna be calm and collected, and try and reassure and kind of keep the other guys who maybe haven't ever got to a position like this in their careers a bit level-headed and just try and keep the adrenaline down. But this is what it's all going to come down to, in my opinion, mate. Because the same goes for the Spanish, like you guys were touching on earlier. I think there's quite a few guys in there. You look at the team in the past where they had, all the Pep guys, Iniesta, Xavi. Winning was just like second nature to them. It was like breathing, wasn't it? Winning to those guys, where they're not a team full of mega superstars like they once were. And there's going to be a few of their guys as well who've, this is the biggest stage of their career. This is the biggest match of their lives to date. So, I think this is what it's going to come down to ultimately. It's just the nerves, the mindset, the mentality, how the players are able to control that and channel it and funnel it in the right way. And I know that sounds all a bit cliche and a bit corny, but I'm a genuine believer in it because, the nerves are going to be absolutely running right now. Like you said, sitting in the hotel, Southgate's probably going to have stuff on the big screen, talking tactics, analysing little details and this, that, and the other. Same goes for the Spanish, but what's in their heads, it's all they're going to be thinking about is about getting on that pitch, not making a mistake, doing what they need to do, and just trying to keep those anxiety levels down, those adrenaline levels. So, it's going to be interesting to see. But I think this is another look, in terms of how we've got to this point, put all that behind us. But I just think, this group of English players, I do think we've got some winners in there, some guys. I think that penalty shootout kind of confirmed it, bit of a different mentality, different mindset with this bunch. They do seem to be better under pressure in those big situations, So I'm hoping, we, that's, they carry that into tonight's game and, that they can, stay level-headed and do what they need to do and get off to a good start.
Connor, some interesting sort of subplots in amongst all this. You mentioned Ormo and Kane sort of battling for the golden boot, as it were. Also, you've probably got Yamal and Bellingham battling out for goal of the tournament. Do you think those battles will hinge on whoever lifts the trophy?
Yeah, quite possibly. I mean, listen, never underestimate the power of lifting that trophy to almost rewrite things to a degree. You win that trophy, then it doesn't matter whether or not, necessarily you did have goal of the tournament. You've come out the winner, so therefore that's what people are going to remember and going to consider. If England win tonight, nobody's really, going to remember that as good a goal as it was that Yamal at 16 years old scored an absolute screamer against France. Albeit he's now 17 because I believe his birthday was yesterday. So what a birthday present!
And Mark Gage was yesterday, so happy birthday to both of them if they're watching.
Yes, but history is always written by the winners, as they say, and that is, that will be the case tonight, I'm sure. I mean, Gareth Southgate, obviously, I don't know, does he just put like motivational quotes up in the dressing room or something like that? You know what I mean? Just to get the well. nothing's impossible, guys. You know, the word itself says I'm possible. You know, come on. You know, I can see Southgate doing things like that with some of the stuff he says. But yeah, it's interesting though, because I tell you, I do wonder what happens with Southgate after tonight in terms of if they win, does he stay on for 2 years and go to the World Cup and have a crack at winning that? Or does he go, do you know what? My job's done here. I've took you to 2 finals. I've won one. I've had a semi and a quarter final. You know, the next guy can come in, do better, basically. Obviously, if he loses, he will go, because that's the nature of the beast. They won't care that it's a second final in 3 years he's took them to. It'll be that he lost again. So that's an interesting dynamic as well.
Let's put that to Tom, because he's not on the reaction later on. We'll put it to Zara and yourself later on as well. But let's put it to Tom. Tom, what do you make of Connor's question there?
You know, I'm not necessarily. You know, I did believe that, Connor, early on in the tournament. I thought if we were to, you know, not win the tournament, I was almost certain that Southgate was probably going to be it for him. But I don't know. The longer it's gone on, and the fact that we're now in the final, I've been reading a few things the last couple of days as well, where it's saying the FA, you know, are really keen to keep him on regardless now of how the final plays out for the World Cup. But I think it's going to, you know, again, it sounds like a bit of a cliche, but it's going to come down to Southgate, isn't it? Because like you guys, you were talking about earlier, is that it's been an odd tournament for Southgate, hasn't it? Because he has had a lot of criticism aimed at him. And look, I've aimed criticism at him, and I do think a good proportion of it has been justified. You know, these people that have kind of come out the woodwork after the game against Holland and are now, you know, saying, oh, you know, he's shut up all the critics and, you know, he's proven you all wrong. And, you know, Southgate's now some sort of, you know, tactical genius. It's a load of tosh, in my opinion. You know, I think the criticism has been justifiable. It's how far you take that, you know, that criticism, isn't it? You know, like some of these guys on TalkSport, you know, they're after views, they're after, you know, the hits on social media and the rest of it, and they do go overboard with it. But in terms of, you know, the performances in some of those games when he's made changes, you know, the tactics, and he's kind of how you know, he's been just kind of, you know, sticking to his guns and not, you know, not willing to change things when it's quite obviously clear things do need to be changed. You know, some of that criticism, like I say, it's been justified. But yeah, it's whether, you know, he feels that it's gone too far. You know, you know, it's been, what's been aimed at him is you know, it's been too much, and it's, you know, it's gone over the top. And whether he thinks, you know, do I want another 2 years of this where, you know, I could be in for, you know, a lot more stick from the England press, the England fans. I don't know. It's a tough one to call. It will be very interesting to see what he does. I personally think if he wins tonight, I think he deserves a shot at winning the World Cup. I think
that's a pertinent point, actually, because if you win tonight, you don't go out winning the Euros. You surely go out. You want to go out having won the World Cup.
I think he deserves that, and you know my thought. I'm very much kind of on the fence with Southgate, probably leaning more towards him going. That, you know, and I'll be honest, and you know, but I do think if he is to win tonight, win the Euros, that he deserves a shot at the World Cup. But whether he'll do that or not, I'm not too sure, because some of the interviews, you know, you can tell how emotional he's been getting, haven't you? I think I kind of tagged you in that one where he was getting really emotional after the Holland win, and he was talking about, you know,
he just watched Up with the lads. That's why he was getting really emotional.
It was just like, you know, he was just saying about being loved, and you know, and that's what we forget as fans sometimes, isn't it? These guys are just normal blokes at the end of the day. You know, they have emotions. They do see stuff. You know, there's no way that they can completely shut off all the noise from the press and social media and everything. You know, they'll have tellies on, won't they, in the cafeteria with Sky Sports and stuff like that. they'll pick up on these things. They'll for sure. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. I think if we don't win, I think that could be it. I think that could be it for Southgate. I think, yeah. I think, but then I think, yeah, it'll be interesting if we do manage to win to see what he will go and do. But my opinion is, yeah, if we win, he deserves a shot at the World Cup for sure.
Connor, I don't know if you heard amongst all that. I swear Tom's dog just shouted it's coming home, but could it just be me? Okay then, lads. Listen, we'll wrap it up there because it's been a nice wee sort of mid-afternoon shift. I know Tom's pressing on to watch the game somewhere else, and Connor, you'll be back with me later on tonight to do some match reaction with Zara, of course. Connor, just give us a quick match prediction if you can.
2-1 Spain.
In 90 minutes.
Yeah.
And Tom?
I got to go for an England win, haven't I? I'm going to go for 2-1 England then. Yeah, I'm going to go for 2-1 England in extra time. I think it's going to be a close one. I genuinely believe it's going to be a close one because I think there's going to be nerves there from both teams. I do fancy England to step up their game. And this, I just want to add this. Sorry, mate. I know you're looking to wrap things up, but I just wanted to add, I've got this feeling as well that the way Spain are going to approach a game may suit England because I think every team we've played up until now, other than the Dutch in that first 45, where I felt like the Dutch kind of came at us, they pushed players forward and then we were able to exploit the space, weren't we, in between the lines, especially Bellingham, Foden. The Dutch then switched, didn't they, in the second half and very much set up like every team we'd played prior to then, sit deep, make it difficult, let England come at them and then try and hit them on the counter-attack, and press when they needed to and so on. I genuinely think that Spain will play their game. They will play their game how they want to play their game because, they're so good at it. I don't think they will change their approach tonight against ourselves. And I've just got a sneaky suspicion it might suit us. Spain coming at us, I've got a suspicion it might help us later on tonight. And that we, some of the players in the team, likes of Foden, likes of Bellingham, exploiting the space. I think it could aid us later, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe I'm just trying to I'm just trying to talk myself up, man. Honestly,
lifting the trophy, then your voice says, "No."
I think this is what it is. I'm subconsciously just I'm just talking absolute trash, just to try and convince myself. Because, like I said to you before we come on, I was like, I'm nervous, son. I don't know. I'm feeling really nervous. I think I'm just trying to just talk myself up, mate, more than anything. That we're gonna win later. Getting the whole it's coming home mindset, mate.
Come out of this mobile when they lift that trophy, if they lift that trophy, I should say. Okay, then, lads. Listen, Tom, enjoy the game, enjoy it responsibly. Connor, I will see you later on, and guys as well. Yeah, we'll see you later on as well. Have a good afternoon. Cheers.